It's already started. It's already started. Dricus Du Plessis calls out Khamzat Chimaev and says, who has he fought? The last middleweight he fought when beat was Gerald Meerschaert. Always beaten as a welterweight fighter in Kamaru Usman. This is going to be the talk if Dricus Du Plessis wins the belt. Khamzat is going to be waiting in the wings even longer.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the Community MMA with your host, Chris Cross.
Yes! Yes! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Baby!
What up? This your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is the Community MMA, aka the Tcmma podcast, and a big week ahead. UFC 297 on deck, and we got the big three for you today. And we're going to start it off with Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland, because already Du Plessis is calling out Khamzat, saying who has he fought. So let's get to right away the Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis prediction, so we can make our prediction and then go forward with how we think this thing is going to play out. In the middleweight division, for the middleweight division title at UFC 297, you got Sean Strickland coming in at 28-5, taking on Dricus Du Plessis, who comes in at 20-2. So let's get into this. This is going to be a great middleweight title fight. Anything can happen. Both guys stand 6'1". They're the same height. Both guys have a 76-inch reach. Strickland stands right-handed. Du Plessis, we know, can switch it up and go righty or lefty at any given time. Now, in terms of activity, that leans slightly towards Du Plessis. Nearly 7 significant strikes per minute to 5.8 for Sean Strickland. In terms of the takedowns, Sean Strickland gets like 1 over the course of 3 rounds, maybe 1 in a 5-round fight. Du Plessis can land 1 on average per round. So advantage goes to Du Plessis in both takedowns and significant strikes per minute. Now, Sean Strickland has an 84% takedown defense. That will help here. And he gets those defense situations in terms of, stopping the takedowns, because he's got that lead leg always going forward. It's hard for guys to go in. When they go in, they can't get the takedowns. Now he's on a roll, right? He beat Israel Adesanya for the belt. He beat Abus Magomedov by KO. Beat Nazaruddin Amavov by decision. But before then, he struggled a little bit. Lost to Jared Cannonier and lost to Alex Pereira. So it's not like he's unstoppable. He's capable of being beat. And to me, he won't be champion very long. Whether it's this fight or the next one, he's going to lose eventually. Now, Du Plessis has a 40% takedown defense, but that won't hurt him too much in this fight. He's coming off several wins in a row, right? Against Robert Whittaker by KO. Derek Brunson, KO. He submitted Darren Till and beat Brad Tavares by decision. So this guy wins, right? 20 out of 22 times. And in this matchup, it's real simple to me. I'd love to see Sean Strickland win, because I think that'd be an easier matchup for Khamzat Chimaev. And you know how I feel about Khamzat. But the fact is Du Plessis is just a better fighter. And since he had the nose surgery, he seems to be breathing better. He looked great in his last fight against Robert Whittaker. Dropped the former champ in the second round by KO. So to me, this is an easy one. He's more active. He lands more takedowns. And he's highly likely to steal the belt from Sean Strickland. Now, Sean Strickland creates matchup problems for any opponent. But in this one, it's all Du Plessis. He's going to take the title, and then it's going to be a much more interesting fight with him taking on the next challenger, which should be Khamzat Chimaev if the UFC holds true to its word. But in my opinion, Du Plessis wins this fight, likely by KO. Sometime in the 3rd or 4th round, he'll start to tire Strickland down. Could be earlier, but likely a KO by the 3rd or 4th round. Du Plessis steals the belt to move to 21-2, middleweight division for the middleweight title at UFC 297. Yeah, so we think Dricus Du Plessis is going to win the fight. And he's going to win it soundly. I mean, he looks like a different fighter since he got the nose repaired. It seems like he's on target to win the belt, and he's talking as though he has already won the belt. That's the key here. He's talking as though he already won the belt. And then he goes after Khamzat, right? He's coming after Khamzat. But before we go further into that, you see Dricus and Sean Strickland 15-16 in the top 20 on the dude list. Someone's jumping way up into the top 10. It's just I'm just kind of waiting for this fight. And of course, Khamzat is number 1 on the dude list right now. John Jones 2, Islam, Alex, Leon, Charles Oliveira rounding out the top 6. And you can see all the way to number 10 there, Israel Adesanya. He's still in the mix. In the middleweight division, Strickland's a champ, Dricus number 2. Adesanya's still 1. If Dricus wins, Adesanya drops to 2. So that's kind of where this thing sits. And exactly what I told you would happen to Khamzat is starting to happen, because if our prediction comes true, and that's why we played this thing right off the top. If Dricus wins, he's already saying, who is Khamzat beat? I mean, who is the guy beat? Struggled with Gilbert Burns, beat Usman. His last real middleweight win was against Gerald Meerschaert. That came in 17 seconds. So Dricus is saying it's ridiculous that he will fight Khamzat next, and that Adesanya is more likely to get the fight. And this is why, again, Khamzat is going to have trouble getting fights from opponents. Why would Adesanya fight Khamzat right now? There's nothing to gain and everything to lose. If Dricus wins, he's up next. If Sean Strickland wins, then maybe he does fight Khamzat. And this is why you have a UFC 300. You're waiting for things to happen. A lot is going to come from this fight this week at UFC 297. If Sean Strickland wins, then Strickland waits for 6 to 8 months before he defends it again. If Dricus wins and he wins quick, you never know. You could see a quick turnaround at 300 against Adesanya. You just never know. And that's kind of why it's going this way. But in terms of Khamzat, he's going to get put on the back burner, is likely not going to get a title fight in his next fight. And that's what I said in the how do you offer the winner of him and Usman a title fight? They're not even really middleweights ranked in that division. I mean, it was absurd. But guess what? You got the fight done. And you kept Khamzat on the card at that time. You remember with Paulo Costa pulling out? So you keep Khamzat on the card, you tell him what he needs to hear, and you get him to fight, and it turns out he won the fight. But he's not getting a title fight in his next fight. That's the problem with all this talk. That's just the way it's going to pan out. Please believe it. Now, as we shift focus to the co-main event, and I didn't know this, that this is for the vacant title. In the women's bantamweight division, you got Rockwell Pennington taking on Mayra Bueno Silva for the vacant title. Not Juliana Pena, but these two will fight for the belt. In the women's bantamweight division at UFC 297, you got Rockwell Pennington coming in at 15-9, taking on Mayra Bueno Silva, who comes in at 10-2. American versus Brazilian. Right now, it's the co-main event, unless something changes. Pennington 1 inch taller at 5'7". She's 35. Bueno Silva 32. Pennington has a 2 inch reach advantage. Both fighters stand right-handed. Both fighters just over 4 significant strikes per minute, so pretty active. Neither fighter really lands a lot of takedowns, so we're going to have an active fight on the feet. Now, Pennington hasn't lost in a while. 5 straight wins over Ketlin Vera, Aspen, Ladd, Macy Chiasson. So some big wins there for her. I got to say it. Some big wins. Now, Bueno Silva, no contest against Holly Holm. But before that was on a little bit of a roll, beating Wu Yanan, Stephanie Ager, and Lena Landsberg. So, both fighters really capable of winning this thing. Bueno Silva, really good fighter. And in fact, she's the favorite, but I disagree. I like Rockwell Pennington to win this fight. She's on an impressive run. Her numbers are picking up fight by fight. It's a pretty close and even fight. And when it's that close and even, I got to look at who has the momentum. And Rockwell Pennington has the momentum with 5 straight wins. Look for her to get the W here on sure will. Rockwell Pennington wins with the 16-9. In my opinion, women's bantamweight division, UFC 297. Yeah, it's funny. Like, sometimes I do these and I don't remember who I'm picking, and I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, you better pick Pennington. you better pick Rockwell Pennington. Don't do it, Chris Cross. And luckily I came through for myself because I couldn't remember who I picked. But yeah, I like Pennington to win this thing. She's going to win the belt and then have to fight Pena. And that's going to be a big fight, in my opinion. I just see it going that way. I think Rockwell Pennington is due. The time is now. Nunes vacated the belt. Pena can't go. And this is the best chance both fighters really are going to get for a title. And probably will lose it in the first defense. So that's why they got to grab it right now. I'm looking forward to this fight for sure. No doubt about it. Then in fight 3, you got Neil Magny versus Mike Mallet. Big welterweight division fight. Let's get into that one. In the welterweight division at UFC 297, you got Neil Magny taking on Mike Mallet. Magny 28-12. Mike 10-1. Now Magny's got a 2-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. That's considerable, but he's 36. Mike Mallet 32. That's a big deal. Mike Mallet is a little more active than Magny. 4.2 significant strikes per minute to 3.5. Now, in terms of the takedown game, both guys land over 2 takedowns per 3 rounds. So that's going to make takedown defense very important. Magny 55%. Not too good. Mike Mallet hasn't had to defend takedowns just yet. So, he's going to be tested in this fight because Neil Magny is certainly going to lean on him. Now, Magny lost to Ian Gary by decision. Really got dominated there. But before that, he beat Phil Rowe by split decision. So he struggled a little bit lately. Mike Mallet on a roll. He's won all 4 fights in a UFC setting. One of those coming at the Contender Series. The other 3 coming in the UFC against Adam Fugit. He also beat Johan Linesi, to name a few. But this is a step up for Mike Mallet. How much has Neil Magny fallen? Right? This is going to be a test for Mallet and a test for Neil Magny. I'm going to lean here with the veteran, believe it or not, in Neil Magny. I think the odds are against him because it looks like, okay, he's getting older. He's struggled the last 3 or 4 fights. But Neil Magny is still a trooper, man. And I expect him to win this fight in dominating fashion and move to 29-12. He's making a statement here, in my opinion. Likely on the feet, though. I don't know if these guys are going to be able to land takedowns. Hopefully Magny can defend them. But Magny's going to win it on the feet here, in my opinion. Welterweight division, UFC 297. Yeah, and this is one of those fights where you got a young up-and-comer taking on a veteran in Neil Magny. You're going to see this throughout the year with the likes of Gaethje. I mean, he continues to hold serve and move up. Dustin Poirier is going to get challenged by Benoit Saint-Denis. You're going to have other fights like this in both the lightweight and welterweight divisions. These are the divisions to watch in 2024. Where can the older fighters, the veterans, hold serve and show that the depth in this division is that strong? Because when you got older fighters continuing to win and maintain their top spots, not that Magny is a top spot guy, but he's still ranked, and it's a big test for him, but one that he's got to pass for sure. Absolutely, and he will do it. Now, as we jump into the Q&A, this one's all over the place today, ladies and gentlemen. On Khamzat Can't Wait Forever, at Danny says he was able to finish Burns in the first round when he had his back on the canvas and applying ground and pound. Bad luck made the Brazilian manage to succeed and survive. So, yeah, I mean, it was a tough fight for Khamzat, but listen, at the end of the day, as I always say, you got the win, and that's what matters. Could he have finished him? Yeah, but rough second round, crazy third round, and he gets a split decision. At Shogun Joe Boo says, 0 interest in Paul Felder fighting Miller. Yeah, I agree. UFC is showing Zhang Weili as the main event, which looked like I like watching her fight. But for a super hyped up card like that, heck to the no, man. Yeah. I mean, we keep getting played with this big 300 topic and nothing happens. Pandora says it seems like the UFC matchmakers want to schedule the boring Edwards versus Muhammad and Pineda versus Adesanya 3 light heavyweight title at UFC 300. Khamzat will be out of the event of the year. I know. And that's the way it seems like it's going. The thing is, Khamzat doesn't have Swedish passport. He was not a Swedish citizen, so he has a Russian passport. With this whole situation going on, it's hard for anyone to travel around the world with a Russian passport, especially for a Chechen. So, that's all in the mix too. Khamzat having a tough time, traveling into the U.S., etc. So it is what it is. Bo Nickel will destroy him. His wrestling is next level when you're looking at him versus Cody Brundage. Take a deep breath and let it rain. Respect for Brundage, but no chance. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think Brundage has any chance to win this fight at all. You know, and a lot of topics going on right now with Khamzat, with UFC 297, UFC 300. But first things first, man, we just got to get through this week and see how it plays out. We got to see how the week plays out. Because after this week, a lot of things are going to be open. Now, if this goes to a 5-round decision, then these guys aren't fighting at 300. But if you get a quick victory by one or the other, especially Dricus, I could see him and Adesanya fighting at 300. So a lot up for grabs this Saturday night. For now, it's your boy Chris Cross. I hope you have a great day and God bless. As always, peace.